Okay. So recording has now begun. And I'm also going to try to, where's that thing at? Yeah, I'm gonna go live on Facebook.
Is it any better now?
Nah, it just sounds like it got a real buzz in it. Okay. So now this should also, it says it's gonna be live streaming it on my Facebook as well. Um, so we'll see if that worked. I couldn't tell if it worked before. Let's
This
see.
time it's saying live, so I hope it is. Last night,
It
it
wasn't.
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's 7:04. Let's see here. Blah blah blah. Oh, that's probably why. Cause yeah, oh boy, you got to do all this stuff here. Um, live discussion. We are live on Zoom, simulcasting.
You on your page or Blackstonian?
I'm on my page, and I'm gonna tell people, please go to event page for Zoom login. Well, now I should go live. So now it looks like it. I guess it should. Yep. All right.
And remind them you're not paying attention to that. Basically, like you're not answering any questions there.
I don't think I can.
Oh,
It's just taking this stream and putting it there.
right.
So, oh my God! See, people keep doing it to me. Boy, what's that saying in the nation? We hard headed and stiff necked.
Hey,
Boy,
that's biblical.
man.
That's biblical. You can't give us the whole. You can't give us credit for that.
All right,
Hard-hearted, stiff-necked, and rebellious.
that's right. That's right. But man, hard to follow instructions, everything, boy. But all right, so hopefully,
Crystal Flex. Salam alaikum, beloved.
all right, peace. So let's get right into it. Hopefully everybody's there. Okay. Oh, brother Randy said he's listening. He's just eating right now, and so hopefully he'll come in, or if not, you know what I mean. Whatever, you could certainly come in when you're ready, or if you got something you want to put in the chat, you already know, brother. Boom. All right. So episode 3. This particular episode here is called 3 Trials, and this goes through, obviously the name of the whole series is called Trial 4, indicating that, on his 4th, or, supposed to get his 4th trial or whatever, then of course that's when it comes. But he had 3 trials, right? And in those 3 trials, the first 2 resulted in a hung jury, and then the last one convicted him, right? And we're gonna get to it as we going through that. I got my notes, boom, so I'm doing it, in order as things are happening as I'm trying to do it. So of course, this episode opens up with the funeral of the cop, right? Oh,
Right.
And of course, that was a big deal because they don't play that. They definitely they take losses of one of theirs very serious, much like like a gang almost, or the mafia. You know what I mean? It's a very serious. Even though, sometimes, like in this case, they'll just grab up anybody. They might not even get the right person. You know what I mean? But the hunt is on, and the pressure is on, and you know they are hot like a hornet's nest. So this funeral is going on. All cops from all over, and you know we need to bag somebody, right? All right, now as attorney Scapicchio was talking about, one of the first little weird things is here you got Robinson and Sarah, who was
Brazel.
in this case, and they not homicide detectives.
Yeah, where they do that at?
They was drug unit,
Narcs.
and so these ones is the ones that end up, you know, finding all the information and this, that, the other. Oh boy, what you guys are you're just so lucky, huh? You found everything. Lickety split. And came up with the witness, you know, my play niece, you know what I mean? All this type of stuff. We cannot admit all. We cannot like any of this, you know, it's so many layers to it of what happened. It's a you know, it's one screwed up error after another. But so I'm gonna stop there, and then we'll go forward. But anybody thus far who has any points to bring up or what have you, please chime in. Nobody
So,
got
okay.
Okay.
So I'll start, I guess. My thing is, you had 3, what is it called? Hung jury?
Two hung juries.
Oh, 2. Okay, fine, 2. Why can't the judge do something about that at that point? Like, there's not enough evidence. There's, like something at least the judge could have said, I don't know, because I don't know anything about the court system. I have no clue.
If you didn't notice, that judge was a little bit, shall I say, he was reminiscent of Clarence Thomas. Okay. He did not seem like he was a black revolutionary judge. Let me put it like that. Okay.
I mean, are they even?
Yeah. Some of them are. Yeah, some, not, with varying degrees of revolution, obviously. But what I'm saying is, some have more of a sense of justice and fairness. He was allowing a lot of shenanigans to going on and allowing a lot of papers and whatnot to get pushed, just trying to push this thing forward. And and not for nothing, if you see the difference between later with the other judge, what's her name? Geraldine Ball.
Yep, Judge Ball.
The white lady judge who I've been around before, whatnot. She ain't no walk in the park either. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, you know what I mean? She do the right thing, and other times she could throw that hammer. You know what I mean? But this guy, he seemed like he just was pretty much going for the okey doke. That first black judge, I didn't even catch his name. I was trying to write it down. It was going so quick because I could only see it on the doggone thing. Right. But yeah, so yeah, that's deep. And I think that judge was just rubber stamping everything and trying to, it was a kangaroo court, in my opinion.
I mean, because at one point you just gotta be like, yo, what is going on? He didn't even try to think through it. I don't know.
The judge at the end of the day is a referee. And oftentimes what they got to do is they'll tell the defense, hey, all right, now we ain't going to be doing all that craziness up in here. And they'll tell the prosecution, hey, listen now, we ain't going to be doing that up in here. So they're the ones that is supposed to be going for the actual factual truth. And, either side at some point may get off base or not conduct themselves and, to the standards of how they're supposed to be conducting themselves. And it's the judge's job to kind of rein people back in, stick to the script, an examination of the facts. But once again, this judge let a lot of stuff go down that just ain't make no sense. You know what I mean? And not for nothing, once again, because of the crime, they were certainly, listen, yeah, this court case is fine, but let's hurry this up because we have a hanging at 3. You understand what I'm saying? They were trying to, you know what I mean? There was no justice in this, It was a rush to judgment, literally. And not for nothing, God bless the juries who didn't go for it. Both the white lady who spoke about it on the first one, where she wasn't comfortable, even brought her to tears. And she actually, you know, a lot of us, we skirt jury duty and stuff. We don't take that type of thing serious and da-da-da-da. But she really took that thing serious and was like, yo, you got a young man's life in your hands. You dig? And so she took her charge serious, and that was a beautiful thing. And then the second dude, who was like the medical doctor, you know, he had more of an analytical mind, and he was just like, yo, man, they're not giving us all the information. And then he was talking about when old boy was trying to speak, and like they shut him off. And so each time, like they concluded, jury trial number one, damn, maybe we shouldn't have put all that in it. We should have left that out. We should have left that out. You know, we got to get this conviction. So then jury trial number two, they're like, all right, we're going to cut down on that testimony right there. We're going to leave this out right here. We're going to da-da-da-da. They were trying to, you know, cater and tailor a recipe to get a win. And on the third one, that's what they did, but they did it by manipulation because they left so much out. You know, if it starts off as a 500-page book, and then jury trial number two was like down to 300 pages. And then by the time it was jury three, they gave them like a 20-page book report. You know, they didn't give them all the info. So, you know, it's deep. It's deep.
Yeah, and you speak of the judge was pushing them to continue to deliberate to a decision in the first trial. And then in the second trial, they just didn't have enough information because the prosecution, like you said, abbreviated the information. I thought that was very interesting in light of the third trial where they deliberated for 3 hours and no testimony from Uncle Dave. Because Uncle Dave's story contradicts the prosecution's whole case and timeline, and they left him out.
Right. Yeah, because it's in contradiction with even old girl Rosa Sanchez's testimony.
Rosa Sanchez, yeah.
You know, yeah. Now, I guess we might as well get on to that because the next part of the film, you know, then they, you know, just show him down at Nashua Street, you know, and he was in Nashua from 93 to 95. For those of us been there, that's no fun, you know. And then now they really started going into the whole Rosa Sanchez thing. I mean, and you can't make this stuff up. So just so happens that this cop is her aunt's baby daddy, and they live together, got a kid together, right? And she, you know, is looking at that kid of that cop and her aunt. That's her little cousin, right?
Right.
Okay. So she knows them people intimately. So first, they're the ones that bring her in for the photo lineup.
Right.
Okay. They're the one that brought her in for the photo lineup. Once again, highly unusual, because you're not homicide detectives. So if we don't think that this lady was coached every step of the way, you know, I got a bridge to sell you. You dig? Now, even with her coaching, apparently she's not the brightest bulb in the pack. Even with the coaching, she still did 2 mistaken IDs in the photo thing to begin with. So you get one pick at the apple, boom, you're wrong. They block that guy out. They say, all right, relax, you know, just take a deep breath, think about it, you know, all that cop stuff that they do. All right, you know, pick another one. And they were probably doing something like this. Pick another one. You know what I mean? And then she picked wrong again. Again. That's when they take a break. Those 2 officers, Sarah and Robinson, take her into the car for 5 minutes. Then she comes back and picks him right up out.
And then the other thing too is that Brother Sean's lawyers picked up on it in the beginning because they made him switch places. Remember, he was originally number 5, and the lawyers picked up on the funny business, so they made him number 6.
Damn, I could barely you sound like Roger from the Zap Band, brother. You sound like Roger Troutman right now.
Yeah, he was saying how lawyers picked up on the shenanigans early when they asked to switch Sean from position 5 to position 6 and
Right.
questioned why the detective left the room and came back. And that whole 9 yards. And it was funny because every time they got caught or questioned on something that was unethical, you would hear them get really, really defensive. Like Robertson's wicked little laugh when he had to be deposed the day before they arrested Brother Sean, asked to, did you change any pictures in the photo array? And then he starts laughing instead of just answering the question.
I mean, that was such, I mean, like, you know, and these people are police, detectives, and so if they ask me about like, hey, so what about this kilo of cocaine? And I'm like, kilo of cocaine? What are you talking about, oh man? You know, you be tripping. You sound guilty as hell already. So that his little ploy at trying to be cute, you know what I mean? That to me was like, you know, if that was admissible in court, he sound guilty as all hell right from there because he tried to play that up too much. You know, bro, you overdid it. You should have just answered the question. Did you do that? No, I didn't. You know, but once again, too, these white men, both Robinson, both the Sarah, and even Danny Keeler later, they are all emboldened, so full of white privilege and so full of how the system goes. It's almost like, you know, how dare you question me? This is what I do, you know? And so we really have to think too, just like how their mentality is just so that they are above us, they are above the law, they are above reproach, they don't have to be accountable and all that. Them white men were in the full throngs of their ego and wickedness, you know? Yeah, and tried to play that out. Yep, Ralph Martin under that pressure to get a conviction. Read some of these comments here. We should be allowed to question without them getting offended. Wouldn't be offended if you're in the right. Exactly. You know, not for nothing. This is what we just went through with the whole police reform thing. If you're a good cop, you have nothing to fear from me. You know what I mean? What I'm after and what I'm into is crooked cops. Hold it, y'all talk amongst yourselves. Somebody's calling me. I don't know what this is. This is what happens.
Does my mic sound better now?
No.
No.
All right, I'm gonna have to sign out and sign back in. I don't know what's going on.
So Carlos or Jay, I don't know if they're back, but I got a question. So is that legal what they did? I mean, obviously it's not legal, but what can be done if something like this obviously has been happening? But at some point, like this has to not happen at all. I know Carlos isn't here. I don't know if he can speak, or Jay.
Yeah, I mean, let some more people in. So it is illegal to lie, you know, under oath, falsify testimony, manufacture witnesses or evidence,
Witness tampering,
planting of evidence. Now, I can tell you right away, my particular belief, I believe they put old boy's fingerprints on the window. And I also believe they put the girlfriend's fingerprints on the guns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Later on, the validity of the fingerprints on the window is called into question. So, you know, that thing comes up. They never really, you know, went too in depth on the fingerprints on the gun, but you know, they put that girl's fingerprints on them guns. If her fingerprints is even on the guns, I didn't really see the evidence to that. They just said it. You know,
right?
So you know, it's.
And you know what else I didn't hear is I didn't hear them prove that was the murder weapon.
Exactly.
Nowhere in this.
Yep. That makes sense. Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah, the only thing that they could identify is the service weapon.
yeah, but I mean, so I just want to throw a comment in there. Peace, everybody.
Peace,
It's
Carlos.
dope that we're analyzing this like from our critical lens. But something I've learned not too long ago is that juries are not prepared for this kind of scrutiny, especially in real time, right? They don't understand the law. They don't understand the charges. They don't understand what evidence they're given. They don't understand what's been allowed in discovery, what's been kept out. A jury almost never gets a full story. And it's amazing to me that they would even be able to find a jury for this brother after the second trial with all the publicity, right? There's so many holes in this case. It's like, but we trust juries to do this every single day. And that is the pipeline that sends tens and hundreds of thousands of us to jail every day. That's all.
Absolutely.
Yep. So got to the lineup. Oh, another point. When DA Roker didn't even trust them, and so she asked them to make their statement under oath, testifying, like, y'all sure you got this right? You sure you didn't do none of that? Well, say it under oath. Okay. And of course they were mad. The detectives union went after her.
But then when she went back, years later on the next other trial or something, she was like, "Oh, she could barely remember what happened." Like, how do you change like that? How do you go from doubting them to being like, "Oh, I'm sorry, like I don't remember," but if you say it's true?
Well, not for nothing too. Here's this thing, she's a judge now, so she don't want no smoke. Okay?
Yeah.
She is not trying to jeopardize her career now and being called into question, your decision making, your judgment being called into question from something that you did 22 years ago that now the whole world is seeing at the same time and like, damn, you're a dumbass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She don't want that. That ruins her reputation. It brings, people are going to be digging up other trials, every trial that she's prosecuted as a DA and any trial that now she's adjudicated as a judge. All of that is going to call into question. She right now is like the laughing stock, one of the laughing stocks of the legal community.
Yeah.
That's why there was so many at the end. You can see all the people that didn't participate, that were part of the investigation. There were just a bunch of them that didn't participate.
Because they knew the truth.
Right. So, I mean, it's just like a few years ago when that lady got caught with contaminating the drug lab and all those cases got flipped because all that evidence now had to be thrown out. Imagine the ripple effect that would cause if everyone that was involved participated in this documentary. How many more of our brothers and or sisters locked up that shouldn't be there?
And I just heard on the radio today, matter of fact, Rachel Rollins is about to vacate an additional 108 cases based off of the Dukran scandal.
Yeah.
So that is another 108 after all the ones that already done got vacated. Is more coming.
That's awesome.
Yup.
To that point, peace, y'all. I've been listening from the beginning. Just having my dinner because I'm just getting off the road. And again, I didn't, get a chance to watch part 3 tonight, but I did watch the whole series. But as you mentioned earlier, a couple of things that you talked about that I wanted to comment on was, you said it started with them showing the funeral of the police officer. And, again, just knowing that they gave him a hero's homegoing, and to know that the higher ups and probably mostly everybody, because if his reputation was known in the streets and his reputation was known among the officers that knew him, right? To know that he was, again, stealing from the state, stealing from the city, double dipping, right? Charging for going to courts for 5 minutes and charging for 4 hours, going to courts on days that courts aren't even open. He was found sleeping on the job, right? And then there was part of the story that his pants were down below by his ankles, while he was sleeping on the job, and a whole funny business with them taking a dead body, which was not the way that that's supposed to go before the coroner got there. The fact that this guy was soliciting prostitutes, many of them very young women, teenagers, and the fact that he was sticking drug dealers up, taking their money and keeping it, taking their drugs and keeping it, and then taking them same drugs and giving it to women for sexual favors. Like, they knew all this about this guy, yet they gave him a hero's homegoing. That's the part right there, you know. And so also, you know, to another point, Rachel Rollins recently released a list. I forget off the top how many officers that she listed a list of officers whose credibility, uh, you know, who were not credible. Basically, is what she said. It was not credible. These are lists because they lied or they was involved in things in the past. And she said that their testimony will not be credible in court. Well, you know, if that's the case, I think that's what we need. That's the standard here, because all the officers that were involved in this case were would absolutely be on that list as not credible. So that's the point I wanted to make on that.
I mean, the fact that Danny Keeler, I mean, you know, he's been known, and in fact, Howie Carr, our good buddy over there at the Herald, Howie Carr, he coined this phrase called testifying instead of testifying, testifying, because of this group of cops who was just so famous for, like, you know, never telling the truth and coming up with these creative stories. And so Danny Keeler is one of those people. I don't know who maybe somebody has me on the echo. But yeah, so Danny Keeler is one of those people. And a lot of these people too, these are the same people that are remnants over from, you know, the Whitey Bulger thing. And, you know, folks were in bed with the mafia and, you know, da-da-da-da. So this is a, you know, this is a big deal. And it's, you know, it's people right now too, they're looking at this story as if this is, you know, this story is one of, like, God knows how many. Once again, Stefana's uncle, that story. You know, Sean Drumgold, who was in the Netflix, that story. So many other people on the list, you know what I mean, that we could go up and personal knowledge of people that we know who, you know, their story ain't getting told on Netflix or what have you. I mean, because literally we got 8 million stories. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But I wanted to go on to that too. Yeah, okay, we talked about it already, came up before. Ralph Martin and that detective union pressure. And that detective union is you know, just as bad as the Boston Police Patrolmen's Union in terms of really going after people who don't agree with them or whatever. It's a lot of intimidation and bullying and pressure that these elected officials or people in other law enforcement positions get exerted against them, like to go along with the program. Don't you ruffle no feathers. You know what it is. You better act right. They get that type of pressure on them. And then next was the Terry. This is when they start now talking about Terry Patterson.
Right.
And the first defense attorneys too, they even, you know, had their own theory, which I thought was a horrible theory to go on.
It was so weak.
Well, I mean, it's like, you're lawyers, you do know what joint venture is, right? So,
Right.
you know, so the lawyer's theory was, you know, he shot him while Sean was Terry shot him while Sean was in the store getting Pampers. And then when he comes out, it's like, yo, hey man, we got to get out of here, whatever, right? But Terry did the shooting, and then Sean had no knowledge it was gonna go down, was not down with it. And then too, for your lawyer, fun fact for anybody, if y'all have a lawyer that then says, and then he took the guns, fire that lawyer. Okay. And then Sean took the guns because Terry told him to. It's not a good defense. Okay. So that right there was wild to me too. And then once again, we can't get into it now because we're trying to stick to the episodes. But just that his whole fingerprints on the window and blah blah blah, all that was just too convenient.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And also, I think it was in this episode, Jamal, that then they come up. What came to my mind was the witness that they said saw this brown rabbit. You know what I'm saying? Fleeing at a certain time, and then they had to go back and readjust the time when they figured that out. But yeah. So that whole little Mickey Mouse thing they did with the time clock. But even from my point of view, even when you have rogue cops like that are out there, doing, sticking people up and falsely accusing folks. And a matter of fact, I see Brother Ralph, you on here, man. You might want to chime in to talk a little bit about Mulligan's character, because
I can tell you, I had a personal run-in with him.
Let me finish this point, and then you could speak on it. But my point is this: he's been known, right, to falsely convict dudes, plant things on them, lie, make up stuff on them. So when you talk about this guy that just pops up out of nowhere, who's an eyewitness to this rabbit that he saw fleeing the scene, that all that is now has to be brought into question as to that testimony. But yeah, Brother Ricardo, and I see Ralph is on. If y'all could say,
I just give a quick, I was locked up when that happened. I got locked up in 1991, but I grew up on Savannah Ave, right off of Cummins Highway in Mattapan. So I frequent that there used to be a Bradley's. Y'all remember Bradley's? Used to be there, and that Walgreens was there for a long time. But we used to play football on the streets. We were like 14, 15, and they pulled up on us. Mulligan pulled up particularly. And back then we used to wear the rope chains. And my friend of mine, his name was Joe Pressey. He passed, but he had a big rope chain on, and he snatched the rope from his neck, right? Mulligan snatched the rope from his neck. And so he my friend Joe sort of got into a little tussle with him. And then a few more cops came, and they grabbed him. They threw him in the patrol car. They never took him to jail. They took him to Franklin Field, and they beat him unconscious.
Wow.
Right? At like 2, 3 in the morning, he's banging on my door with his head split wide open, blood all over him, just barely conscious. And me and my mother took him to the county hospital, the emergency room. Cops came. They talked to my mother. I was a juvenile, and nothing ever came out of that. But I firmly remember him. And every time we would see him, we'd be out. We just, oh, here he comes. We knew something was gonna happen whenever he showed up in the neighborhood.
That was Debo with a badge.
Right, Debo with a badge, right.
Well.
Yes, sir.
Brother Rob, you want to share some of your
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, I got a little bit to say about Mulligan. I got a whole lot to say about Mulligan, but without telling on myself too much. But back in the day, I was a B&E kid. Everybody know that before I came to the Nation of Islam, I was known for breaking and entering. But Mulligan had this thing he was going to mulliganize you. You know what I'm saying? And then when he said he was mulliganized. But he's come through the rainbow. I said, hang out the rainbow. That was my second home, if you will. Really, the penitentiary was my first home. Rainbow was my second home. But anyhow, he's a come through there all the time. Matter of fact, he used to walk around with my picture in his back pocket. I don't know if you remember Puff. Anybody remember Puff? Ronald Dunbar? Y'all younger than I am. But anyhow, he had gave Puff a case and sent Puff down on the major violator years ago. And he knew I was Puff's partner. His thing was to lock me up as well for no reason. I mean, for really no reason. I was mulliganized. So one time he came in the Rainbow. Anytime the police came in the Rainbow, the jukebox stopped, everybody stopped, the lights came on. And he looked at me, he's called me Fudgy back in the day. He said, "Hey, Fudgy, come here, man, come here." He said, "Get over here." I said, "What?" I thought maybe he had a warrant for me. I didn't know. But he ended up taking me down the area. What wasn't the area D? It was, what did they call it, D at the time? No, 4, Station 4. Station 4. Possession of heroin. I was being booked for possession of heroin with intent to distribute. There was no heroin. I'm telling the boy that's booking me, the sergeant, whoever, man, he got no heroin. There's no drugs. Somebody check for the drugs. I said, "Is there a captain? Is anybody here? There's no drugs." I end up getting booked on heroin, go to court the next morning. Of course, I get a bill, go down Child Street. And I stayed on Child Street for a minute till I got out after I got a bill reduction. No heroin ever came up. Another time I got arrested again, the same charge, possession of heroin. So now I got 2 cases. I don't sell heroin. I mean, I used to use heroin, but I never distributed heroin. But he was just lying. And another time, that's the second case. I had another case from a third case where it was breaking and entering. Ended up going to court, ended up going down Child Street again. Ended up going to court, and the woman came to court, said that Mulligan had my picture in his back pocket. Said, is this the guy? And she said, no, that ain't him. She told the judge that. You know what I'm saying? She said, that ain't him. And I got cut loose from that one. Not guilty. But the man was a wild character. He was, like you say, testifying. That was his thing. Mulligan was known for that. Everybody knew the boy was alive. But his thing was just lock people up at will. Just didn't care.
And
You
so
know what I'm saying? He had no regard for black folk whatsoever.
The reason why I think that's very important, thank you for sharing that, Brother Ralph and Brother Ricardo, because again, like this is how we got to look at all of the so-called witnesses that they brought on this case. You know, these are people that are being threatened, you know, with jail time, with imprisonment, they making up stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like none of the witnesses, nobody that came forth in that, none of that whole, there's no credibility in any of that. Then the other point from what you said, Brother Ralph, is that, you know, the planting of the heroin on you when there's no heroin, which again, you know, dovetails to the whole Annie Dukin situation. They're trying to make her like she's the fall guy when she might have did what she did, but that's not an anomaly. Like they was planting false evidence all the time. They was probably telling her just to say that. You know, so this is bigger than 1 or 2 people, man. This is systematic. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about, you know, structural racism. This thing is systematic, is rotten to the core, and that's what this documentary exposes to the light to everybody. So now that it's been exposed to the light and everybody can see it, we have to address it.
Right.
True.
It's almost
that's
like,
why I always say, even with the Black Lives Matter case, when they're talking about the police, I mean, it's bigger than it's the whole criminal justice system. You know what I'm saying? They ain't no focus on that, man. It's a holistic approach. It's the whole thing it was just corrupt from police to for lawyers, everybody. Right. It didn't start with the police. Police was just the outcome or the initial source for a whole corrupt system that never get focused on.
I was gonna say too, it's like with the whole NWA piece. Remember back in the day, they came out with the song F the Police because that was their reality. And you know, those of us in the streets, like, but even up here, you know, we didn't think it was to that degree. We knew they was corrupt, but those of us in the streets, we kind of knew, right? But to the masses of the people, they didn't know until now. You see George Floyd, you know what I'm saying? Or when, you know, back then when the Rodney King thing exploded, that was the first time that what we were experiencing and what we were telling everybody was happening, that nobody really believed it. It was like a ghetto myth. You know what I'm saying? That police were that abusive. Nobody believed it until we actually saw Rodney King get beat down like that on camera. You know what I'm saying? And then now bringing up to modern day and times when we see George Floyd get murdered on camera. These are things that have been going on that we've been saying it. People have been saying it like we knew, but the difference is that like George Floyd or like Rodney King, now everybody's seeing it. Now this is not some ghetto, you know what I'm saying, hood story or whatever. Now the whole world can see what many of us been saying all along.
Right.
Yes,
you know, I wonder if we still lack the imagination. I know we, in terms of this chorus that's on here, can get how the problem is exponential and systematic. But I wonder, not even just white people, but even our own people, I think we still romanticize right versus wrong and think that police are the arbiter of justice. So until we see something like a George Floyd or Rodney King, which is 30 years apart, right? Which is crazy that the similarities happen in those 30 years. But I think people still think that they're anomalies. Still, even in our own community, I don't think we understand the scope of how often this happens, how often a young kid is walked in and caught to a plea deal because they planted some evidence on him, or they claim they had evidence on him and he had no good legal representation. I mean, this is a wheel that's been turning right since they let us off the plantation. And I think people hear it and anecdotally, but they don't really absorb it. You know, Rachel Vaughn, when she came into office, there's a group called Court Watch Mass, and they're there to make sure that, you know, the DA is operating on the level. I wish, and I'm kind of just dreaming out loud, that we had the capacity to do the same for our people. And we could sit in Roxbury, Dorchester courts and make sure it has to kind of court watch to see what's really going on the day in and day out. Because without the real data, the media will always shape it as this is our narrative, like you said, Brother Muhammad, coming out of the ghetto. It's just a ghetto story, or there's just a few bad apples. That narrative continues to exist without us having real raw data for the people.
Right. And speaking of data, Jamal, I was wondering if you could give us an idea from your perspective, right? Based on the intricacies of episode 3, the witness tampering, you know what I'm saying, the credibility of the police, the strange choice of detectives for this case, all of that. With all of that in mind, and then the lying, the planting of evidence, the miraculous appearance of a murder weapon, you know, Uncle Dave and Brother Sean's partners, Sister Tia, all that. How much money do you think was riding on this case for just the Boston Police Department, just specifically, if it went left, like they was trying to prevent it from going for them?
Well, I know that, you know, prosecuting a trial of this type of magnitude, the ticket's going to be definitely in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? And really, I could probably get it up to over the millions if you include actual manpower hours, you know, because everybody who's working on the case, they making $20, $30, $40 an hour, you know, cops getting overtime and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, if you add in that, it could get exponentially larger. But just the type of things that it takes for a case, this had to be at least several hundred thousands of dollars that they put into, you know, if not more. But I mean, not for nothing too, we can find that out. And, you know, something like that, that's a question that maybe we need to be posing to Rachel. Like, how much did this whole fiasco cost the taxpayers of Suffolk County?
And see, that's what needs to come out, because they went through great lengths to prosecute Brother Sean. You know what I'm saying? How much money was at stake? What was at stake if it wasn't money? If the truth about Mulligan got out at that time, right. You know what I'm saying? That's because I mean, I'm looking at, man, they went hard. Like, if they went hard like that, really trying to seek justice, you know what I'm saying? Like, they might have really found something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was looking here. I think I was reading something. Gina wrote, why did the homicide detectives allow the narcotics detectives to take over? And I mean, that's a question that's still relevant. You know, like, is that standard procedure? You know, somebody need to explain that, you know, to the, well, you know, a lot has to be explained to the community. And I think that we as a community must demand answers, right? Because you know, now, like I said, it's out before the world. And especially the way, you know, I hate to keep jumping. I'm not, you know, I know we're going to get to that, but the way that it ended with the press conference, which basically, you know, they stuck by their guns and still try to put the blame on Sean. Basically said, you know, Sean is not innocent, right? So, like, that means that they standing by all this corruption that we are now seeing. So I think that now we need to have a conversation and question those in authority, you know, the police commissioner. Like, is that standard procedure that you have a narcotics officer being the lead on a homicide investigation? You know, like, that's what needs to be asked. So it's a great question. I don't know if anyone on here has an answer for that, but I think that's a great question that as a community we need to pose to
Well,
the leadership in the police department.
And unrelated to the documentary, I heard, you know, just this is through, you know, other sources, but that the reason that the cops went to the girlfriend's house that night was also to kind of cover their tracks, because in their little criminal endeavor, he was the guy who held the stash. He was the bag man. So he dead. They trying to go get up in his house to get the duffel bag.
Right.
You know what I mean? All right. So that's what I heard why they went to the wife's house. And then of course in the process, maybe question her, what have you, or the girlfriend's house, And then I heard, I mean, there's a couple of other good theories that have been out there that obviously should have been explored. The girlfriend, sick of him, you know, getting his little blowjobs at, you know, while he was on his other job, right? You know, she got sick of that, and I heard she could have lit him up, right? Then the other thing, the Armstead thing, that really, you know, that's a whole nother episode, but that's, you know, that's a bug out. That bugs me out every time, because I know Armstead and he's a dirtbag, and then how much of a dirty guy do you got to be for your kid to be the one to call up and say, I think my daddy did it? That's dirty. That's dirty.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so all of these people who are involved, there's a lot of grime and slime going around, and that's the other part of it with these people for justice. They were so concerned about their boy, but really, somebody killed him, and you still don't know who it is. So somebody who popped the cop in the face 5 times
in the shape of a cross.
It's still
and
out there.
And you letting it ride.
Right.
Right.
Still
Like
out
if
there.
you really that mad, and if you really against, you know, police getting shot or someone murdering the police, why ain't you, like, with all that we now know, why ain't you really trying to find out who really did it? You know, but I want to say, Jamal, at this point, there's a lot of people, and I'm gonna say this right here. We was pushing this at the end yesterday, but just to encourage other folks that are on, you know, to come on and let your voices be heard. There's a lot of good questions in the chat. Gina got a lot of good energy. Kerry got making some comments, but it'd be great, man, if y'all could come forward and comment if you're able to. We want to encourage everyone to participate. That's what this forum is for, you know, so that the community could raise the questions and the concerns and to make comments. So I just want to say that, Jamal.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Yeah, y'all, come on. This is discussion. This ain't a chat session. Come on.
Yeah, but my question is this. My question is this also. Why is Ross still carrying the party line when he had that nickel in the quarter? I mean, he probably was a patrolman at this time. You know what I'm saying? So why is he still vested in their lives?
Well,
when he's a new man on the block.
I believe that as horrible as this is, there's more corruption. There's deeper corruption even in the past that hasn't even been exposed yet. As much as it's been exposed already, there's still a lot of corruption that they're still covering up. And, you know, one of the things I was thinking through watching this series is, did Mulligan get so sloppy that they took him out because he was getting too sloppy?
Right. That's another theory. And, you know, he might have been about to tip over the house of cards or whatever, but that's another theory, of course, that, you know, it was them who killed him, you know, and then of course, oh, miracle of miracles. And we just so happen to find the quote unquote murder weapon and the service weapon, you know. So once again, they just were on a streak of luck. They just found all that. They found the witness. They found, you know what I mean? Wow. What great cops. So yeah, it's too much coincidences. Is like when it looks that funky, it probably got to be something funky. So
but you know, Boston has a deep history of that.
Oh yeah.
Right around the same time, you had the Charles Stewart case where they blamed the black man for Mission Hill, and they ransacked Mission Hill. So you know, it was, you know, and he killed his own wife. So that was clearly a hit. And like Brother Christopher said, you know, he was getting ready. He was sloppy, you know, and that was a perfect time to get him. We know that, hey, you know, he gets the customary, you know, humdinger at Walgreens during his detail. You know, he falls asleep. That's why his pants were down. So they shot him 5 times in the face. That was intent.
Mm.
And I don't know, maybe someone can answer this. Was his window rolled down, or were the shots through the window?
I think they did that on one part of the thing. I think it was like 2 3/4 inches or something like that.
Right.
You know,
and that was like, and you see the picture. It was right all up in dome piece.
And one was in an upward
Yeah,
thing.
like right in front of his nose.
Yeah, but it didn't go in like that. That's what I'm saying. It
Yeah.
didn't go in like that. It went up like that.
Right.
So, that's, definitely them circumstances is crazy. I'm just going down my list in the order of how these things happened on the episode. Once again, we had already brought up Danny Keeler, but when he pulls out quote unquote Uncle David, and he's the one that interviews Uncle David, if we don't think that he had already coached Uncle David already, you know what I mean? Come on. And anybody who knows Danny Keeler, he's still dirty. You know what I mean? Today. What they did to the girlfriend, Tia, and put the threats on the kid. You know what I mean? We can get you wrapped up with a child custody case or something like that. You know what I mean? Take your kid from you. And of course, and once again, too, she was 18 years old, 19 years old at the time. So a child, you know what I mean? Having this authority figure, maneuver and put you into the doggone, into that position. And then another thing, I got hit with it. Maybe a lot of people don't know about it because, whatever, I remember when they started doing it, but this whole thing of joint venture.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Because joint venture, let's say I'm
a big point.
Let's say I'm at the bus stop one day. I know a lot of people. So I'm at the bus stop and I'm just like, damn, I got to catch this bus. Car goes by. It's one of my buddies from high school. I ain't seen him from high school. He says, hey, yo, Jamal, what's good? Where you going? Oh, I'm going up the road a little bit. Yo, hop in. I'll give you a ride. Now, what I don't know is he just robbed a bank.
Right.
Now, the police pull us over. We robbed the bank.
Right.
Because they gonna say that I should have had knowledge. I'm supposed to be a psychic or something to know what this person just did, who I ain't even might have not seen in the past 10 years. And so joint venture, you get caught with dope, that's y'all dope. You get caught with a gun, that's y'all gun. A crime was committed, y'all did that. And they just lump people together. Right. And that joint venture thing over the years, I don't know how many tens and hundreds of thousands people done got wrapped. Do y'all remember when they started doing it? Because I know it happened to me as a teenager, but I remember when it came out and it was like all of a sudden all the prosecutors were using it.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember the exact date, but it was in that time when the gang, when the gangs began to become a problem and they started to target us. They started saying, if you're walking 2 or 3 in a group that you're labeled as a gang. It was around that same time.
They did with the Mom House though. They did with the Mom House earlier than that, because the brothers from Ford that went up for the Mom House. They killed the brother up there in Mattapan. They would just sell the weed. Y'all young, you don't remember that. They used to sell the Mom House, to sell weed up in Mattapan. And it was 4 of them went up. They all were Mom House, but 2 went inside the building and 2 stayed out. Never got inside. The 2 went inside the building. One actually was trigger man, killed the dude, right? All 4 ended up getting charged with joint venture. But the 2 that went in turned state evidence, right? And got a plea against, they did time, but the 2 that never went in did more time than the 2 that went in.
Right.
Because they said the joint venture, even so they said they had no knowledge they were going to kill him, but they said y'all went up there together and the boy kid, you had a thought you was going to do something to him. So they all had joint venture. And that was like 70s. That was early 70s.
Wow.
And remember, the judge was asked by the jury, I believe, in the second case in this episode, what would make the defense for Sean in this case a joint venture, and what would not make it a joint venture. And he never answered that question when the clear answer to that question was no. Like it wouldn't be a joint venture. And but he never answered. He never gave them that answer.
And in fact, remember when he gave his instructions, he really laid down a subliminal seed in there, because he repeated and harped on the fact, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me tell you right now that even if Sean did not shoot him, they did it together. So he was telling them, I don't even care if you don't believe he did it. That's okay. You can believe that he didn't do it. You can believe it was completely Terry who did it. Right. But if they were there together, they both did it. And the jury,
That's why they got hung. That's why they got hung the second time.
Yep.
Well, how did
But
how did
that
it
speaks.
go from that joint venture narrative to now Brother Sean's the shooter? It seems like over time, it was like they knew Terry did it, but Sean was just there. And then even up to this point in 2019, 2020, they're saying he was the shooter. How did that happen?
Yeah, I think
They said that in episode 2 at the beginning, the police, the detective said that Patterson fingered Ellis,
right.
right? And then the defense for Brother Sean said that it was Patterson who did it. Sean didn't have any idea of what that was the defense. But none of it makes sense because none of that happened, apparently.
Right. Which goes to what Jamal was saying earlier about them planting evidence, planting fingerprints, which Rosemary exposed that part a little bit, but I may be jumping ahead. But going back to the joint venture piece, Jamal, I'm glad you raised that because again, as we analyze this case and we see the structural racism and the injustice, and to the point Christopher, or I think it was Chris that was making earlier, that I mean, there's so many of our people, man, that got caught up. And I know personally a lot of brothers that are serving their natural life in jail that didn't murder anyone, but just because they was with someone that murdered somebody. And as brother Ralph said, there's a lot of cases where they didn't even know, like they just hanging out, and the dude get into a fight and pull out a knife and stab somebody, but because you was with him, you know what I'm saying? Now
Well, that's another one
everybody,
too.
five dudes is now serving natural life. And the crazy thing about it is that there's cases in this same city where it was white boy. There was a case in South Boston where a group of white boys came out and they beat this dude. And I can't remember the names and dates and everything, but they killed this dude, beat him down. You know what I'm saying? And when it's the white, when they're white, so-called criminals, then they'll get a second degree, not a natural life, second degree, and then the other ones that was involved will get a manslaughter, if anything, you know what I'm saying, or time. So there's a disparity in the use of the joint venture. It's not across the board. So many young black men, black boys got smoked behind that joint venture that is still right now serving their natural life, the rest of their life in prison for a crime that they did not do, but because they was in the vicinity or they was with someone who committed a crime. And I think that also needs to be looked at.
And that's what they call selective prosecution, right?
Right.
Because a prosecutor has a bunch of tools at their disposal, right? They got a whole toolbox that they could do, but they might say, we're just gonna do this guy with the butter knife, right? But then over here, this guy, we're doing him with the screwdriver, the ice pick, the machete, so they can pull out their tools and they could be as heavy-handed or as soft touch as they want to be. Even some things where folks have walked out of there with nothing, and maybe said, yo, you need to go get counseling, or you go to a treatment facility or whatever. Whereas if it was one of us, yeah, you go into the treatment facility we call prison. You know what I'm saying? So they definitely selectively choose when to be hard behind and when to be lenient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say directly or indirectly that his first set of defense lawyers were in on the conspiracy? Maybe not even intentionally, but it just seems like, we were talking about the whole system being rigged, and it's not just, the police and the judges, and it's everybody. And that's kind of the taste I got in my mouth, is that even those first set of lawyers, you know, um, were in on the conspiracy, even if they didn't intend to be a part of it.
I think they were just in over their head.
Yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were just in over their head. They not, they not the hottest lawyers in town. I never heard of them dudes.
Plus, also, there was so much exculpatory evidence.
Right. That they weren't. That you're right.
They weren't. They was never given a fair chance. The
Right,
police
right.
didn't turn over like those judges. I mean, those lawyers didn't have what Rosemary had to fight almost 10 years to get. Think about it. Rosemary had a fight, I think it was between 8 to 10 years to retrieve some of the information that the police had. You know what I'm saying? That became, you know, the basis of what she was going to use in the fourth trial, which is the basis of his exoneration. But those lawyers, the first set of lawyers, they didn't have all that information.
Well, that's what I mean by indirectly. Like, you know, I'm not saying that they're even guilty of doing anything, but just the way the system is set up, it's almost like they're enabled by the system to be incompetent. You know,
But
it's not any blame on them. But I'm just looking at how the system is set up.
the main difference between those two and Rosemary is they were culturally improficient. Like they didn't even have the cultural competency and proficiency to formulate correct defense for brother Sean, right? But when Sean finally got Rosemary on the case, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, you know, she asked him, well, why you? I'm young and I'm black, and I was there. Well, that's enough, because she was culturally proficient enough based on her upbringing and dealings with the police to understand that, hey, I see further in this situation because this and that doesn't make sense, and he's an easy target. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even get that. They were surprised the fact that the police was staking out their law office when Sean went there to retain their services. Like, yeah, they were there. Like, what? Like, come on, that's what you thought was gonna happen. But they didn't really have that experience.
right. Right. They seem like, you know, nice enough guys or whatever, but they remind me of the two old dudes in the Muppets when they sit in the balcony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but you know, God
They
bless
meant
them,
well.
I mean, whatever. But you know, thank God that, you know, finally it got straightened out. You know, okay. Last time we were talking about so many of the things that I called them these, like, you know, well, I joked around and said spooky, but it's really not spooky. You know what I mean? These are those moments of God where, like, these things happen that are so strange and unexplainable that would have never happened under no other circumstance. So weird situation number one. You know, the juror from the first trial who was so, you know, unhappy with the thing.
Talk about it.
Then the third trial, and she happens to know the lady.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And then calls her up
About it.
and says, Gertrude, let's go to coffee and talk about this.
Come on, Gertrude.
Okay. And then they got together and had their skull session. And at first it was going to be like a, you know, it seemed like her friend was more like support group. No. At first it seemed like they were going to clash because it seemed like her friend was more like let's say like a Trump person.
Right.
And she, you know, she's more like a liberal person. But then they found out ain't no clash. Basically, the juror in 3 was like, well, damn, we've been bamboozled. We've been deceived. We were lied to. We didn't get all that information.
Didn't get none of that. No Uncle Dave.
No Uncle Dave. So once again, that also too shows, look, you know, some of y'all play sports and whatnot. Look, if you play this team, they beat you the first time, and you watch the tape and you like, man, I kept going to the left too much. I kept going to the left too much. Man, sometimes we gotta go to the right. Okay, that's all they were doing. Every time these trials happened and they lost, they was like, no. Don't do that jump shot again. No. Don't go for the foul here. No. And they kept it, they stacked the deck and damn near the jury to get the result that they wanted. Right. And you know, and it worked like a charm. It worked like a charm, you know. Boom. So yeah, so the trial too, the information, and then what you had already brought up, Brother Jamal, but this was crazy. So for those of us who have been involved, you know, in 3 trials in 1 year. That's crazy. Unheard of.
Unheard of. Months apart.
And unheard of, just because I'm telling you, these people is so damn slow. Okay. You be waiting months and months between hearings. Okay. Wow. motions and this and that. These people, they have no respect for your time. Okay, none. Okay. And look, and tell you be to court at 8:30 in the morning, and then they don't call your name till 4:30 in the morning, and then the judge says, "Thanks for coming. We'll continue this to the next time."
Right.
They're so disrespectful. All right, but 3 trials in 1 year, and as the brother said, the first trial they deliberated for 8 days.
8.
That's healthy debate and discussion, back and forth, looking over the evidence, saying, well, what about this? What about that? How you feel about this? I don't like that. What do you think about this? They were in dialogue and debate and discussion for 8 days. The next trial, 3 to 5 days, Sean said. 3 to 5 days they deliberated. And in that last trial, 3 hours to convict them. 3 hours. I don't even believe, like, to me, it almost damn near ought to be a law that you have to have at least a minimum deliberations of at least 12 hours. I mean, you got somebody's life in the balance. Like, unless it's
get an 8-hour shift.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless it's one of those, unless you got Charles Manson on the line who's like, yeah, I did it, I'm crazy. You know what I mean? And it's just so clear cut, whatever. Okay, then I get it. But other than that, when you got to go through some stuff like this, I think that there needs to be some sort of minimum of like, that part. So like the judge, when he was pushing before, talking about y'all go back and deliberate till you come up with an answer. I believe that's wrong. I don't like that stuff. But if I was a judge and somebody came out in 3 hours, I might be like, hold on.
Y'all need to go back.
Are y'all sure you gave this proper attention and consideration? You know what I mean? Let's think about this, folks. So that, and then what he got, because folks too, sometimes we don't pay attention. Remember, he got life without the possibility of parole, right?
What years?
That's on the murder. Then he got 30 years on the armed robbery.
Yep.
And then he got 5 to 10 on possession of the guns.
Right.
Okay.
He threw the book. He did everything. He gave him everything he possibly could give him.
All right.
Everything.
How was the sentence so harsh when you had 2 previous hung jury trials? I mean, it seems like they're, even if you're so-called found guilty, if there were 2 hung juries, then it can't be that strong of a case.
Right. And what they would say is, no, we had a strong case. It's how we presented it. So therefore, we're going to adjust the presentation to get that result that we want. But yeah, things like that too. Damn near, you shouldn't really. I mean, I don't know how we could do this in the law, but after 2 hung juries, it needs to go to a higher court. I think, like let another judge look at it. Let somebody else take a peek at it or something like that. It can't just stay there.
Hey Jamal, let me ask a question, right? So you said that you were streaming live. Are you streaming live right now on your Facebook? And are you able to see the feedback? And I'm just wondering, like, as I look here, we have 16 participants, and at some point we need to have a conversation. Like, this trial, man, is so important that it has to be, we have to have a community-wide discussion on what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? And maybe that's something else after we finish these 7 days, but like, this is too serious for us to be nonchalant about, or the community not to be engaged in, when this is something that, we're subjected to, we have been subjected to. If you're an adult and have children, your children are subjected to, like, there has to be like this conversation that you're starting here. We have to expand it. So I was just curious as to if you are streaming it, what's the interest in it?
I can't see it right now. I'm trying to do it. My computer is moving super slow. I don't know what the hell is going on. But if anybody else has access to Facebook, and if you can see if it is there, but it says that it's live on Facebook. It's supposed to be live on my page and what have you, but I don't know. Now, in terms of,
I don't see it.
You don't see it. See, so I don't know what's going on. I'll have to do
Not
something.
unless it's on the trial. I mean, on your
No, it's supposed to be on my personal page.
I don't see it on your personal. I'm looking on the event.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be on my person. I don't know. That's where it asked me where did I want to send it, and that's where I told it to send.
Yeah, it
So-
says on top here.
Oh no,
says
no, no,
recorded
no.
live.
It says no. It is on my page. It says Jamal
is?
Crawford is live now. We are live on Zoom, simulcasting on Facebook. Please go to event page for the Zoom login. Yeah, it's on my page, Jamal Crawford.
Okay.
Yep. So, but I don't see. I don't have any likes on it. No comments, and y'all know that's semi
But this
unusual
is
for
the thing.
me.
Are you seeing it because you have access? Because I don't know if anybody else can see it because I'm on your page right now and I can't see it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look on my phone. I don't see it either.
So yeah, I can't explain that. My page.
Yeah, it's not live on the page, Jamal. It's not live on your page.
I'm looking at it, y'all. Please, I'm looking at it on my Facebook page. So I'm telling you.
Of course you are. Jay, you have access, hon.
No, y'all don't understand me, and y'all should know this about me. I don't do private shit. That's punk shit. My whole entire listen to what I'm saying, y'all. Please, my page is public. My profile is public. Every post I make is public. I don't do private posts or nothing. So there's no logical reason why y'all should not be seeing this. I'll figure it out later, right?
Okay.
If y'all not seeing it, but I can guarantee you, I'm your name, Gidge, is on my Facebook screen right now because you were the last one talking. So, boom. All right. So we'll figure that out at another time. Now, in terms of people's involvement, yes, I want folks to spread the word far and wide. And let me tell you what the plans are. And these plans have been going on for quite some time. Before the pandemic and all this type of stuff, a couple things. One, want to have a forum with wrongfully convicted folks. Okay. So we will use our collective networks, all the different people that we know, to have a session, right? With all wrongfully convicted folks on there, and we'll be able to dive into that a little bit more. So that's one, a forum on wrongful convictions. Two, I am hoping that I can encourage these brothers to form a group just in name. We are the wrongfully convicted, whatever it is. And because y'all know me, I'm a policy guy, and we need to develop some points and some policies that we can now take to the state house and get them to try to do some legislation to amenify these type of situations. And on top of that, too, to get the legislature to apply pressure to the various DAs and whatnot to any case that has been said to have been a wrongful conviction, open it back up. What does it hurt you to open up the case again? In the name of justice. If you have somebody in custody who didn't do that, what you like that? You think that's a good thing? You want people in your jail who ain't supposed to be there? So we need to apply public pressure as well, and legislative pressure, political pressure, to get the call out to get a lot of these DAs now to come up off that. All right. Then the next thing is, and a lot of this will be some of the same group. Another thing is kind of like what I'm gonna call a hood summit, like a meeting of the official. We got a lot of cats, who street involved, and like a lot of cats who's official, some who did time, some who did not, but folks who have influence out here in the streets. Their name carries a little bit of weight. They got credibility. People respect them. People honor them, right? So I want to get that type of conversation together. For those of y'all who saw the movie Warriors, remember when the brother Silas was trying to get everybody into the park and, kind of squash all the gang beef?
Yes, sir.
We want to replicate that, except I don't want to get killed. And now, and the good news is too, because when I first had this idea, if y'all remember when I did 10,000 Strong Boston, which I was a direct bite off of, it was in my mind, it was a mini million man march for Boston type of, that was the flavor I was trying to go with it, right? But at that thing, we were supposed to have a hood summit then, and it just never panned out. So this has been a long idea. The idea originally was to do it in White Stadium in Franklin Park.
Yeah.
To have the nation. No, I'm talking about when we would have did the gang summit, we would have been inside White Stadium, the stadium itself. Right, we would have had the nation on the perimeter, on the outside, right, handling the internal security. That's the only people that would have had interactions with our people. But then on the outer perimeter, we would have had police. Y'all can go post up wherever you go post up, but you're on the outer perimeter, right? So, but now because of COVID, we can do that right now, and it's easier even because we could do it on Zoom, right? So now we don't have to do it in Franklin Park, and there may be safety and security issues because if we try to call a truce for that day, what if there's one knucklehead that don't want to honor it? But so here on Zoom, we're all safe. Nobody can get in trouble, none of that, and we can have a meeting of the minds. So once again, the wrongful conviction forum, and then the hood summit, right?
Let me say this, Jabal, on that point. Excellent, both points, excellent. Suggestion on the second one. There may be some concern, with certain individuals that we may want to be in this meeting, right, with regards to having a dialogue on Zoom, right? So
I mean, we wouldn't record that. We wouldn't record that one, or we could do a private one and then a public one. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, because cats ain't, we ain't doing nothing crazy.
Right, but what I was gonna say, something to consider will be a meeting as well, like almost like the one that we had, my man, what's his name, Michael Curry put on, Black Men Speak over there at RCC, where it was a big space, you know what I'm saying, and everyone that was there was socially distanced. But if we can find, and I'm just saying, find a place that we can go that's big enough where we can socially distance and still have that conversation with the real dudes, you know what I'm saying, so that the integrity of the meeting, is intact and preserved. That might be something to consider as well.
Yes, definitely, and we could build on this offline. I know, at least for me, the reason it hasn't happened all these years is getting all them people together at a physical location, same thing in time, has proven super difficult for me, difficult to the point that I haven't been able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A Zoom where everybody could be in the comfort of their own home or whatnot. And right now, because everybody is so used to the Zoom and we might be able to pull that off.
Absolutely. Worth a try.
But I'm definitely concerned about, yes, sensitive information. When we open, we would have an instruction, because we don't want people talking about no cases, nothing confidential, nothing that could put anybody in legal jeopardy or physical jeopardy or whatnot. Names will be changed to protect the guilty and the innocent. You know what I'm saying? So let's, we're going to have a strict protocol on that, whatever. But also, like I said, part of this conversation, because I want to split it up. First, the conversation is going to be the ones who really move it, the shot callers. That'll be a smaller group. That'll be about maybe, 10 to 15 dudes. A lot of these, same dudes we know. And that's going to be like the core group, because those are the ones who are going to put the word out to their other folks and da-da-da-da-da-da. So that would be a first one. That'd be a private conversation where we kind of set the tone, the agenda, what we intend to get out of this type of thing. Boom. Then the next one would be the public one, right? And then after that, now, and the public one obviously is public. Everybody could be involved. But after that, the end game then is to have a conversation with the OGs and the young shooters, right? All right, to just tell them, enough is enough now. Y'all, you're getting too goofy with this, right? So I think that could have an impact. But once again, whether it's Zoom, whether it's in person, whether it's a combination of both, whether we do multiple events, everything is on the table, and we'll figure out what makes the most sense to get the best result. You had something to say, Gidget?
I said it needs to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Enough of the talk. And the only thing that I'm saying as a mother is the man needs to step up. It's time. It's been time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, absolutely, and I think we will, so what we want to do is harness the energy from this documentary, and that's why I keep stressing the importance of the conversation and the community input. You know what I'm saying? But like, one thing that I keep noting, and just something for us to note is the attendance that's on here right now. So that's something that we all got to look at and say, well, how do we get, man, with something that is so critical to us, to our community, that we've been dealing with for so long, right? We have to look at, are we marketing it wrong? Are we not reaching, like, because what we want to do, we and I agree with you, sis, and we will, That's been the plan, and that's what we've been working on. But this is a prime opportunity to harness the energy that this documentary is bringing out, man, to get everybody to the table. And we have the rest of this week to try to keep building up that energy so that the work that we do following that, right, is instructed by this conversation here.
Absolutely. And everybody, I mean, send it out to your own networks. I'm not on Twitter heavy like that, but I need to, put a tweet out there too. If y'all on Instagram or whatever, put it out there. Cause I mean, not for nothing, just looking at the numbers, 16 participants currently, at our height, we had 20. On the other one, we had a lot of people on the other one. I think it was over like 40 something people. And and at night to night, people might dwindle off. Oh, I went to the first one. I'm the, you know what I mean? I saw it, whatever. So, there's always that type of thing. But yeah, we need to keep up the energy. But just looking at the numbers, 16 participants. And by my count, it's like eight folks from the Nation of Islam alone. Right? So yeah. I think y'all are half of the audience from the nation. Of the 16, right? So that type of thing. So yeah, we need to expand our reach and expand our our area where we casting, because we keep catching the same fish. You know what I mean? So definitely let's put that out there. And then also too, Brother Randy, this. You could do a video called "I Have the Keys and the Answers to Life," and 3 people be on there. You could say, I'm gonna fight Jamal Crawford in Grove Hall. 1,000 people gonna watch.
Yeah, that should be the name. That should be the name of the next one you do, right? Change the name. We're not gonna talk about the trial, man. I'm gonna be exposing Brother Randy. You know what I'm saying? Right. Jamal Crawford exposing Brother Randy. Man, we'll get 1,000 people on that joint.
And that for me, with my businesses, with the music, everything, that is the worst feeling. I remember as a rapper, and my buddies would be like, man, you're so talented, but it's never gonna go anywhere because you're talking conscious. And if I was just talking about, some of my old exploits, drugs or women or whatever, then I could, probably be in the mainstream success story. But folks, just whatever, it's very difficult to get us onto the right thing. And, and I have not figured that science out yet, but the only thing that gives me a good feeling in my heart is that sometimes too, it ain't about the quantity, it's about the quality. So, a lot of times when we do these things and you got a small crowd, that it's, what they talk about in the Bible and whatnot. Many are called, few are chosen. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of them examples in the Bible. Remember when before God burnt up Sodom and Gomorrah, old boy went out there. He's like, hold on, God, let me find 20 righteous people, right? And then you won't kill everything, right? And then he kept coming back because he couldn't find the other righteous people. Right. So, it's a deep thing. We all need to work on it more. I'll work on it more. Another thing I need to do is set up a Google form so that we can have people's email addresses and we can begin to build a contact list off of this so we can remain in contact and they could get added to the list when other things come up like this in the future as well.
Right.
Yep. So that's about it. And anybody else got anything to say, particularly those who haven't spoke at all tonight, please? Y'all got anything to say? Because it's almost 8:30. We about to wind it down. Please, all those who may have not said anything tonight, please.
I wanted to ask a question because I know it happened back in the 90s, but does gunpowder play a part in any of this?
Well, yeah, it should have. So if they were saying that, look, these guys are the guys that shot him, whether it was Terrence or Sean, generally, yeah, they're gonna take all your clothes. If they catch you the same night, they're gonna, do the gunpowder residue tests. And because for anybody who has experience with firearm, when you fire a gun, that gunpowder residue gets everywhere and it's hard to get rid of and hard to get off and all that. So normally under normal circumstances, I think, yes, both of those people, their clothes would have been confiscated, and their skin would have been tested for gunpowder residue. Yeah,
exactly. Because doesn't it stay on the hands for a certain amount of time?
Well, no, I mean, you need to take a shower, you know, and
Okay.
and scrub vigorously, you know what I mean, to get it off. But if you just going about the rest of your day or whatever, no, that stuff is staying unless you made an effort to get it off.
Okay.
Yeah, not for nothing.
That's
So
a great
much,
question.
and not for nothing, so much so that anybody who goes to a range or does any training, most ranges or instructors who are very good at what they do and practice safety, they encourage you to wash your hands before you leave, right? Because you get pulled over on the highway going home, you know, and you could be the next one. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, most ranges and instructors instruct you to wash your hands afterwards. Any more questions, please, please, please?
Jay, I just wanted to make a point. I didn't know about your event until yesterday. And just to let you know, just to remind how Facebook has the algorithm and tries to hide stuff. So just FYI, you know, just wanted to make that point.
Okay. I sent it out to my Blackstonian email list too, which got about 1,000 people on it. But as you see, you know, as you see, it's still, you know what I mean? It's still crickets up in here. But once again, you know, I'm thankful for everybody that we do got. I don't, you know, there are some people, particularly organizers, where, you know, y'all know these type of people, they are like gluttons for attention. So to them, it's all about the numbers. Oh, it's like Donald Trump,
Right.
Did you see our rally? It was huge, right. All those people out there cheering for me. Oh, so for me, once again, to me, it's about getting this work done. These conversations, some people are going to see these conversations after the fact, because, you know, when it's all done, of the recorded ones, I'm going to put them up on YouTube, put them up on Facebook and whatnot. Folks will get it. I hope one of these days, too, Sean is going to check in. I was texting with him earlier, so I hope he, you know, but he's been paying attention to it as well and all that. Said the discussions have been going good and all that. So once again, because I'm kind of not the attention whore type of person, because literally right now, if we said, we're going to interview Sean Ellis, blah, 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 you know, we could hype it up, you know, but if y'all know, I haven't even really been trying to hype it up like that too, because I also want that man to have his peace. That's why I haven't really tagged him in the Facebook heavy, because you know these Facebook friend hustlers will be like, oh, that's him? Oh, click, like, sending the messages and bothering that man. So, you know, certain
and the conversation right now doesn't need it, because if he came on here, then it'll be like it'll be all about him. And I think this conversation don't need to be us questioning him. You know what I'm saying? This is a dialogue that we got to have as a community, analyzing the facts and analyzing the information that came out and what that means for us in our community and what it is that we need to do. Brother Sean being on here himself will change the whole dynamic of the conversation, because everybody's going to want to hear from him. You know what I mean? Where we can have this conversation based off the information that we have.
Well, not for nothing though, because I do got questions, and you know, I'll get them answered either from him direct and report back or whatever. But you know, and a lot of people have been asking too. There's no bag at the end of this rainbow. So like the way that the case now is in, and you know, because they dismissed it or whatever, he can't sue nothing. He can't get no money, civil, criminal, none of that. Like, what's the status of that? No. Were you shaking your head, Brother Randy? No, that he can't?
I was saying I was shaking my head, but I was just saying that that's foul. But we're gonna have to address that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's why, again, it's important, man, that we have this conversation, because we can't, man, we gotta address that.
Yeah, they owe that man some money.
Absolutely.
Man, they owe a lot of people. They owe a lot of people, man.
Yeah, as long as they keep that conviction on them, that's probably what's going to stop them from collecting for the wrongful conviction, because they still got the gun charge on them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Joey explained last night, that they're not, that's why they kept that on him, so that they don't have to pay him.
So now
they still owe him, because even if all right, so he got convicted of the gun charge. What's that, 8 to 10? He did 22.
Right.
That's a kickback.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We definitely need to examine that.
I want to say something as somebody who just been watching, because then speak to Jamal, what he was saying. I really didn't watch the show. Like I said yesterday, and honestly, keep on listening more and more. This shit kind of crushes me from even wanting to watch it. To be honest with you, it sounds kind of sick, and it sounds like a story that I already heard 1,000 times. But I am learning a lot of shit because I got a lot of brothers that's been locked in the system, that's in the system right now, that just fresh out the feds and everything, and it's just like they from Boston, they from the city, and they just been wrongfully accused of a lot of shit. So it's just like listen to everything that's going on. I'm just learning on the free game, and I am gonna watch it. But yeah, I just want to let y'all know I ain't just somebody on this for clout. This is some real shit to me.
Yeah.
What's up? And that's
Yeah,
peace,
that's what's
bro.
up.
I appreciate your feedback, and so what I would say to that is this is why we have to have a campaign, like the campaign we pushing right now that I was working on, which is Know Your Smoke, which is really like bringing this type of knowledge to brothers such as yourself, because where else you gonna get this game from? You know what I'm saying? So you only gonna get this game from brothers that's been in the game, and that's why we're connecting the brothers that did the time, that did the knowledge and got the information and educated themselves, and understand who the real enemy is. The whole thing behind Know Your Smoke, like we so busy out here gang banging on each other, your brother that lives on another block down the street, that we're not even paying attention to these dudes that have been systematically oppressing us for years and doing it so foul and flagrant, but we give them a pass every day. And your brother look at you wrong and you want to murk him. You know what I'm saying? We killing each other over dumb stuff in the hood, and our real enemy been doing us dirty for years, and we not even thinking about bringing the smoke to them. And I'm not talking necessarily about with the hammer on that level. I'm talking about legislatively taking them out of power, because we have the power to do that if we come together. If we understand how the game is being played on us, we can change those rules. But they keep us ignorant, because as long as we ignorant, then we can't take them out of power. Now it's on us to break that ignorance. We do have power in our unity, but we're too divided because we're beefing over things that really, at the end of the day, don't really matter.
Yep. And not for nothing, brother Randy, what you talking about, like how we are so ready to go at each other's throat, and meanwhile this guy gets off the hook every time. It's funny because that's really when I talk to people, I know a lot of people in spiritual things and new age, this and that. That's why I always tell people all the time, I don't believe in karma. People always talk about karma, this karma. I don't believe in karma. Quite simply, why? Do white people get it? You know what I mean?
I believe in good karma. I believe that with our society puts in, we gonna get back. And I believe that on some real shit. I mean, I think white people have oppressed us for a reason, so we could keep on putting the bullshit back and forth. And like you said, they're gonna get theirs, and they do get theirs. Trust me, they don't live happy doing all this sucker shit. I don't think so personally.
I don't know.
Slim, you got some questions.
I think some of them do.
On the chat.
Go ahead.
Slim, they I don't know if the chat, somebody asked some questions to Slim. If they want to speak, they can. Or Slim, you can answer.
I would just encourage you, Slim, to watch the documentary. I mean, I know it's a bitter pill to swallow, but just like you were saying, you're gonna get a lot of gain just by watching the documentary and getting exposed, so that maybe you don't get caught up in some of the stuff that you'll be able to see it coming a mile away. So I would definitely encourage you to watch it.
Yeah.
Most definitely, I'm gonna watch it. Most definitely.
Absolutely.
I think the person in there said, can we ask that young man if he thinks his friends would be interested? Also, would he be willing to host a watch party with them and participate for the final session, see if anything resonates? Well, I could say that, he already, I don't know, folks who was on it the other day or whatever, that, it was a whole bunch of them in the house watching together and whatnot.
That's right.
Yeah.
He has been promoting it. This is one of the young men that, deal with me. And also too, on that whole young man tip, that's one thing too. I got a whole nother thing about, how black men are never allowed to grow up. This man is over 30 years old. Okay. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's it. He's not no 17-year-old kid. No, nothing like that. So I just want folks to know he's a grown man. And has been participating in all that type of good stuff. And, you continue to do what you have been doing, spreading the word, Facebook and all that too. blah, blah. Oh, and really importantly, because like I said, I'm not on them other things. If y'all got your Instagram and your Twitters and all that, put it on there too, because I'm not really heavy on there like that. So I'm mainly promoting it on Facebook and you know, through email and on and on. But I will continue to do that. So anybody else on here have anything to say? Anybody who has not said anything this evening? Anybody on here who has something to say, who has not spoke this evening before we get off? Anybody? All right. So I guess that it means no. All right. Peace. And that's oh no, that's Andre. I thought that was Sister Andrina. All right. So all right, y'all. So thank you. I'll end it like I do my Facebook lives. You know, I hope everybody is doing great today. Be great today. Do something great today. Tell somebody that you love them. Better yet,
Love
show
you.
somebody some love. Show some love to a youth or an elder. And as always, push past the pain to the power. Not a better example of that than my brother Sean Ellis. Push past the pain to the power.
That's right.
Please choose righteousness over ratchetness. And as always, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. All right.
Hey, can I let me suggest this, right? Let's see if everybody on here, man, can get like at least 5 to 10 other people to come on tomorrow. You know, we can take that assignment, man. If everybody on here could try to get at least 5 other people to get on, you know what I'm saying, 5 to 10, then that'll be a good look.
Absolutely. And make sure you pump them to the Facebook event page where it has the instructions to get on the Zoom. You know what I mean? They need the Zoom link and the instructions, the little passcode and all that. All right. So I think that's it. Minister Randy, I don't know if you want to close us out in prayer again.
Always. Yes, sir. Not a problem. Let us have attention prayer. Assume the position that's comfortable for you. In the name of the one true living God, to whom all holy praises are forever due, the revealer of all truth and the sender of all prophets, we thank you for all of your blessings. We thank you once again for this gathering this evening. We thank you for the passion, the words that were shared, the information, and the inspiration. We pray that you bless our efforts to produce a fruitful dialogue that will lead to change in the legislation and in the status of our community. We pray for your protection for our brother Sean. We pray that you bless our efforts to be successful. This we ask you in the name of all of your prophets, messengers, and apostles from Abraham to Muhammad. Let us all say amen.
Amen.
All right, brothers.
All right, y'all. Peace.
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 I'm gonna make Jamal.
Well,
Yes,
alaikum
sir.
salam.
Good to see you, brother.
Hey, this is not a Falcons hat. This Team Farrakhan. I just want y'all to know.
I thought make his great hair.
You done switched up on us real quick, man.
I ain't never
You
had
done
no
got all
Patriots hat
brand new.
anyway.